Would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure.
All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll have a roll call.
Supervisor Bozzard.
Here.
And I'm here. Treasurer Kowalski.
Here.
Trustee Woods.
Here.
Trustee Wright.
Here.
5 present. You have a quorum.
All right. I want to add one thing to old business. Was I've been talking to someone that's looking to be in the zoning administrator, so I can give you an update on that. Other than that, unless somebody else has something. Yep.
I'd like to add an item to the discussion and update items.
Okay.
We'll title it Impending Board Vacancies.
Okay. So do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, the same. All right. Reports and permits issued. We can see those. Fire chief.
Year to date, we're at 120 calls as of June today.
Okay. Treasurer's report.
So in the packet, you'll see the breakdown. Did some negotiating with Southern Michigan Bank and Trust, so they matched Consumers Credit Union's 4.11% for money market. So this report doesn't reflect it yet because it happened in March, but I'm going to move a bulk of the money into that money market because of the interest rate. And then we have a CD coming, maturing at Marshall Credit Union, and I'll consolidate that probably with either Consumers or other Southern Michigan as well. The only other thing relative to this, because we don't reflect the tax account, I did open a Michigan class account for our tax monies and been shuttling money back and forth there because they have their interest rate is like 3.8, 3.9%. I did negotiate a 1.5% for our general checking account with Southern Michigan as well. The tax year is closed out March 2nd, so I turned everything over to the county and we'll wait to hear back to see if they agree with our numbers and our warrant. And then cut us a check for all the delinquent checks. Liz and I did send out 300 delinquent notices on the 18th so that we could try and capture that penalty money that the county won't give us when we turn our delinquent taxes over to them. And I think we were pretty successful. I think it was worth the hour in postage to stuff the envelopes because we did get quite a rash of returns during that fairly short period. So I think it was probably worth the effort. The only other thing I'll make a quick comment on is I am working on methods of both making ACH payments to the taxing authorities or anyone else we wish. Because right now we're sending very large checks out. And then on the other hand, I'm also looking at either BSNA or another company receiving ACH payments. So residents would be able to basically put their bank account routing number and amount, and the payment would come in with a much smaller fee than the credit card payment. And so I'll probably bring that back to the board before, hopefully before the tax season starts. Is it actually, it'll go directly into the tax module if we do it right. And the more that people do that, the less chance there is to lose checks. You know, our mailbox got hit, so we had our mail laying in the street. We found actually Carl found a cashier's check laying in the snow. And so if we can do electronic payments, we can avoid some of that. Thank you.
All right, I don't see the sheriff here tonight. I don't see a report here. All right, planning commission.
Okay, the last PC meeting, we finished our initial review of the master plan. And we're waiting to get all the changes and modifications to that. Hopefully we'll be able to present it at our next meeting. And then at that point, we'll decide if we need to have any other further work sessions. See, we have a gravel pit tour scheduled this Thursday afternoon. Hopefully the weather prevails. Right now, it looks like it might be okay. So that should be an interesting tour. Listed below in one of the agenda items is a zoning map, which we believe is ready to go at this point. So anything else? That's it as far as PC.
All right, thank you. And then we'll move you right to the road department.
Yep. Road department, also mentioned below is we got a communication from concerning the Calhoun County Board of Commissioners approved all of our road projects. And that was at their meeting in February. And as of the 6th of March, the County Board of Commissioners also approved contracts with Lakeland Asphalt Corporation and Michigan Paving and Materials Company for the hot mix asphalt for those road projects. And at that same meeting, they also approved a contract with Soil Materials Engineers Incorporated for environmental services and materials testing, supporting quality assurance and compliance for those road construction projects. And late last week, I spoke with Christine at the road department, and they are working on the schedule for all the road projects. And she will let us know what that schedule is when paving's supposed to start for our township. And that's all I have for that.
All right, I'll move on to the PA 425 subcommittee.
Yeah, we met with the city last week, and we laid out at that meeting some of the things, laying out what things we wanted to change, had some discussions around several different points. We're at the point where there's a lot of areas where we have some agreement. There's some areas where we definitely don't agree on, which we expect at this point. But both sides feel at this point, Rob is going to start drafting up what these amendments would look like within the master agreement. And so we're gonna look at some of his proposals. Glenn, myself, and Rob are gonna sit down and just kind of look at what that looks like in writing, along with the water franchise agreement as well, just to look at that again. Yeah, that's our kind of our next step this week. Is there anything you want to add, Glenn?
No, I mean, I think we've just been picking away at ideas to make the agreement stronger for the township. And I think we've made some progress, and hopefully that'll be reflected in the changes that Rob is adding.
Okay. Budget report?
As printed, and as you, hopefully you noted, I figured out finally how to reduce it from 18 to 3 pages for easier reading enjoyment in the future. Not as much room for note keeping, but
Okay. Move on to communications, the Calhoun County Board action approving the submitted 26 road projects. And we receive and place that file notification from the Firekeepers Casino Local Revenue Sharing Board regarding the 2026 distribution schedule and the reimbursement of specific costs process. And that's in our packet. Okay, we'll go to referrals. The Planning Commission approval of the corrected zoning map is attached for board concurrence. And at this time, we'll have a special order of business, the final public hearing regarding the 2026-27 proposed budget. At this time, we'll open that public hearing up.
we did hold the public hearing and explanation, detailed explanation last month. And this is just kind of a final opportunity for any public input with adoption slated thereafter.
Right.
No changes have been made since the workshop.
Yeah.
Evening, Joanna Johnson, Marshall Township. Just a couple items, if I read the minutes correctly. I appreciate that the board at this time is maintaining, if I understood correctly, the current contract with the sheriff's office for the enhanced versus the full-time. So I really appreciate that from the board, not entertaining a full-time at this time deputy here in the township. And other than that, appreciate the thorough budget. Thank you.
Any other comments? Board? Yes, we'll close the public hearing.
At this time, I'd offer a motion to adopt the proposed 2026-27 Budget and General Appropriations Act, the staffing schedule, the wage schedule, and the capital improvement budget.
I'll make a motion.
No, I'll support it.
I'll support it.
Whatever.
I'll support it, sorry.
Yeah.
Support it, yeah, sorry.
All right.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Supervisor Bozzard.
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Treasurer Kowalski.
Yes.
Trustee Woods.
Yes.
Trustee Wright.
Yes.
5 yes.
All right, at this time, we'll open it up to public comment on unlisted agenda items.
Okay, James.
Marshall Township. Just a couple items. With the road agreements with the Calhoun County Road Department, it'd be really great if we could add those to the website under the roads area, just so then folks have another way of understanding what's been approved by the board. Sometimes the county's website isn't up to date. Also appreciate the notification from Firekeepers Casino Local Revenue Sharing Board being referred to the fire chief. I imagine hopefully some of the calls that we run on might be attributable to the traffic, potentially to the casino. And appreciate hopefully the support of the corrected zoning map. And I want to thank the Planning Commission members and the Zoning Map Review Committee members for all their hard work on that map, that corrected map. Once it is approved by the board, we'll make sure that we get those obviously placed here in the office, as well as the section maps. So thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on. And we'll
Could I,
have, yep.
it just, is that being the second comment about the corrected zoning map, that isn't listed under any of the businesses because it was intended to be acted on at the time we received the referral. So a motion would probably be in order for the board. I'll make the motion that the board concur with the recommendation of the Planning Commission and the special subcommittee to approve the corrected zoning map.
I'll second.
All right. Okay.
And if there wasn't any more comments, I'll leave it up to Mick.
I would like to express my appreciation to the members of the PC, mainly the Chair Johnson and Vice Chair Sly, Brent Thalen at County GIS, and the Zoning Map Review Committee, Steve Bowler, Steve Riggs, and myself. Countless hours. There's no way to begin. Countless hours. And I think this is probably the best the map's been in a very long time. And I just appreciate it's been a learning experience. It's been a fantastic learning experience. And so this job well done, and appreciate everything from everybody that went into this.
Any other comments?
I would just like to echo those comments, but thank Mick as well for that, because I know that was there were a lot of dusty files to open. It was an experience because we found files we never knew we had. So it was informational, that's for sure. And I agree with him. It would be nice to have a map that's approved and is signed and all that. And moving forward, it'll be kept up to date much better.
So Jeff, did you add that to our agenda item, or?
It was should have been under, when referrals, it was suggested that it was attached for board concurrence. So it should have been under referrals.
So do we have a motion and a
Yes.
second? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
There's a
So-
motion and second to concur with the recommendation of the PC and the subcommittee to approve the corrected zoning map.
So I'd just like to say I can definitely appreciate the amount of work that went into looking at all of the documents from the past and especially the quagmire of 425 agreements. I know a lot of work went into that. I do have a little bit of a concern about the state farm property on the zoning map. It deviates from the rest of the agreements, and I know it's called out separately in the Master 425, but I do have a concern that it's not shown as a 425 agreement on the zoning map. So I guess I guess there's a motion made, so I'll just leave it at that. I would prefer to see it tabled until we can address that, but.
Chair Johnson, would you care to expound upon that particular item, please?
And I'd appreciate it too, because I know I emailed you earlier this week about that very issue as well.
And no, everything's been in discussion mode quite a bit over the course of this whole thing concerning that particular property.
Yeah, absolutely.
And please go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'll also extend this offer to our vice chair, Dwayne Sly, as well, to come in and weigh in as well. But really, I think it's a matter of, I mean, I've got pages and pages of what I believe to be the analysis on that property. And it comes down to interpreting the 1992 agreement, the original agreement for the parcels there, better known as the State Farm property. So for the sake of the audience, we're talking about Old 27 and F Drive primarily, right? So just east of Walters Drive or Walters Plat. And so we have the 1992 agreement that was set to expire at a specific date. We also have the 1992 agreement that states what type of development is supposed to be at that site, and I'm paraphrasing, right? But something attributable to an insurance or office administrative type of facility. So then fast forward, the property was, the State Farm did purchase the property before December 30th of 2021, and then subsequently the State Farm property sold. There is mention of the State Farm property in the 2006 master agreement, which was then updated in the 2019 master agreement, and that was it remained the same from the 2019 425 master agreement to the 2022 425 master agreement. And it's interesting, and this is where the interpretation comes in. So the 1992 agreement is still intact. However, it never expired because we had a subsequent agreement basically eliminate the expiration, which I believe was supposed to be in 2021, I think. So the agreement, I think, was supposed to, I think the parcel, the original 1992 agreement, the 425 agreement was set to expire, but basically a new master agreement removed the expiration date. So sorry if I'm not explaining this very well, but it's complicated. Anyway, so fast forward to the 2022 master agreement. It is our interpretation, I'll leave it to that although the 1992 agreement says the parcels transferred to the city, it would seem to us that we still have an exception called out in both the 2006, the 2019, and the 2022 agreements. And it also mentions that the State Farm agreement shall be amended when the land is developed. So we're taking that to mean that it's not developed yet. So although we have a 1992 agreement, we're saying that it remains in the township until which time it's developed. I mean, that's my short way of saying it. Now, have we, meaning the Planning Commission, that's our interpretation of the language. I know that others might have a different interpretation of that. The other element that concerns me is if we were to, as one person on the Planning Commission, if we were to make that for a 425 colored parcel, we might lose sight of the fact that that 425 agreement has a specific type of development that is supposed to be there, right? And by not having it as 425, unlike all the other 425 agreements, it specifies what type of development that needs to be. And again, by not having that 425 colored, I think it forces us to look at that property a little bit different, and or it has to be renegotiated with the township. So none of this is, if the board were to approve this today, there's nothing to say as we get further knowledge and as a planning commission that we can't make that adjustment on the map in the future. And my guess is we might have others that are going to come forward that we might, it's a work in progress. So I don't know if I explained that very well. I have a ton of analysis on that. Again, the Planning Commission's thought, and that's why it was recommended to you as it is. Commissioner Sly, is there anything you would like to add to that?
Maybe.
And before you jump in there, I just will say, I know from the 425 agreements, looking at the city's map, they do have that specified as a very different zoning than anywhere else. It has it labeled that it can only be used for that. So looking at what their maps are, just from seeing it just last week, that was one thing I was like, I just want to see what, it has a very specific zoning in that spot. But I hear what you're saying about the clock not turning until development is started with that language. Yeah.
And just real quick again, and that's our interpretation
Yeah.
of that. And it's not, respectfully, it is not worded very well from one person's angle. I mean, there's just, it takes a lot of time to go through each one of these agreements, and then they keep referring back to the original agreement. So, we did the best we could in terms of our analysis. I appreciate the fact that the city has that on theirs, but at the end of the day, this is our township zoning map. And it seems to me that, I don't think there's any harm, no foul, just leaving it as we've presented it, and we can address it at a later date.
I agree with everything that Joanna said. My only take on it is that it says that the master agreements, I think all of them say that the original agreements shall remain in effect. The original agreement said that it was going to expire 2021. So if you alter that, then the original agreement isn't in effect. So if the original agreement isn't in effect, what is in effect? Does the current master agreement override the original agreement? And if it does, then why does it say the original agreement shall remain in effect? And my understanding of contracts, and I'm not a lawyer, but I did work with contracts at work. Contract is, they always explain to us, is like a box. If it's not in the box, it doesn't exist. Well, that date is in that box. It says it will expire on the 2021. So if you, at a later time, alter that, then this contract is no longer in effect. So which is it? Is it the original contract is in effect or it isn't in effect? That's my interpretation.
Has this been posed to our lawyers at all through your discussions or anything like that?
Yes.
Well, go ahead.
No, go ahead. We have discussed it.
We have briefly discussed it. I don't know that they have rendered an opinion. I think there's others that might have asked as well, maybe from the 425 team, but no.
Nothing specific?
I mean, well, we certainly have had a ton of conversations on it and frankly, maybe argued our point. I haven't had anything come back to say we're incorrect either, right? But I don't have a legal opinion in front of me.
No, me either. No.
Thank you.
So Seth was part of a meeting that we had, that Wayne and I and Dwayne and Joanna were part of. Apparently he didn't come away with copious notes of what they were talking to him about. So that's part of the reason why I would suggest, because the reality is right now, just the status quo, however you interpret the agreement, and I might interpret it differently, that the 2019, 2022 agreements basically extended the life of the 425 to the future plus 50 years, which to the township, what does that mean? Well, it meant that in 2021, had it expired, we wouldn't be receiving any pass-through monies since the agreement in 2022 for sure, 2019, we're currently getting 4 mills for that property every year. And so that's kind of the status quo. So that's why I say I think we do need maybe you know, it's a legal document. It's quite complex. I think it's very poorly written in many ways, but maybe we do need to have, I would ask Rob Thal to look at it, if it was me, and that's the only, like I said, that's the only parcel I struggle with, because it has been looked at as a 425, and we are receiving money from the city. The city is taxing that property at their 20 mills and passing 4 of it on to us.
Well, based on comments, all the comments have been made. My feeling would be that it'd be prudent to proceed with approval of the corrected map, and that perhaps someone would make a motion to seek a legal opinion as to the status of that PA 425 agreement, with specific attention to when it expires, to determine when it expires, and any other questions there are about it. But I think that's kind of a separate, it is related, but I think it's a separate matter.
Do you think, so I guess the question is, like, currently on this map here, it's zoned commercial and ag right now. Whereas in the previous one, Jeff, it was purple on that map. And so the question is, are you suggesting that we approve this map pending a legal opinion on just that part that whether it should be left as is or it should be purple? Or are you just saying I just was wondering, because that coloring is different.
Yeah, well, I think if you're gonna maintain the status quo on it pending what a legal opinion says, that you would keep it what it was.
But that's not what's been proposed.
I didn't catch that.
So what's proposed in the current zoning map that the planning commission has worked on, what we call a state farm property at Old 27 and 94, is not, it's not mapped as of 425. It's mapped at the past zoning of the land when it was in the township.
So right there,
Yeah.
where the mouse is, right there.
Right. The yellow and the red
And this
area.
is the purple right here.
Well, one of the other complications is that if we change it from what it was, the zoning board of appeals the ZBA hasn't dealt with that. Unless it dealt with it at the last meeting, because it wasn't a question then presented.
So a couple things. You're absolutely correct, Clerk Alba. This did not go to the Zoning Board of Appeals, but the thought process was it's 425 related.
Yes.
So kind of puts it in a different category. I mean, at least that was our thought process on it. And then the only other thing just to weigh in is, I know there's a motion and a second already that's been voiced, but we can certainly seek a legal opinion after the fact. I don't think there's any issue related to that. We're talking about zoning, not tax millage collection, right? So our thought process, again, is that this is 425 related, not necessarily the zoning board of appeals issue. So that might be a weigh-in as well in the future, but.
I was just speaking as it is to making a change to the map.
Right. 'Cause-
Without it. So to me, to change the map, if I understand it right, it either has to be an interpretation of the ZBA or the zoning amendment process through the planning commission to change the map.
Right. Again, that is normally true, right? But in this case, we took it from a contractual standpoint and the 425 agreement. So we didn't consider that same process.
So it really, in the ultimate analysis, then it really doesn't matter what we put on this map. What matters is what the 425 agreement says.
That's our interpretation of the 425 agreement. That's why the color that is on the map today goes back to what it was prior to the 425 agreement. That's how we got the current, is it up on the screen there, that what you have there?
Can you put it back
I think
up on
it's
the screen?
partially highway service, commercial, and
Yeah.
residential. I think it's yellow and red.
Yeah, sorry, yellow. Thank you. Yep, it's yellow.
Red is what's on there.
Can I just ask a question, Joanna? If it were to be tabled, how would this affect the planning commission and what you guys are doing? I'm just trying to understand what are the implications of, and one of the ideas being tossed out of tabling it versus approving of it now.
Well, I think we never want our sense of urgency to overcome our sense of quality. I mean, I can think of many times where we want to hit the pause button or should have hit the pause button before decisions are made. In this case, I don't know that I would say that there's anything that would be harmed in any way by, delaying it, a meeting or anything along those lines. But we are in the heart of our master plan, as already mentioned by Trustee Woods. But I don't think the short answer is I don't think delaying it 1 month, and that's the only other thing I would ask is that we not wait, go on and on and on with this, right? I am going to be very direct, and that is I am disappointed that, we haven't figured that out before we got to this point, like to the degree that with all the time and energies in our review. So, but I respect the decision of this board, on what you would like to do. And I'll only say this one last time is nothing is written or etched in stone. We can always come back and review it. And my guess is we might have other parcels that, we didn't go through each and every parcel throughout the whole county, but we did do our due diligence, so.
And I don't want this small little piece of the map to undermine, honestly, like every single thing that has been said about the diligence that you guys have done.
Oh, of
It's
course.
we are super impressed. We're so thankful for the time and effort that you all have put into that. And I don't want, like, if whatever the board does, I don't want that to undermine what you have done. You have done an amazing job, and we are very thankful for what you have done. It's just, it's one of those tricky things because it's working with another governmental body that is taxing it. Just in our 425 conversations at the city, our lawyer had said something of just like, when you change something to the map, it isn't, like, I understand there's a potential of an ordinance change and stuff like that, of how that's interpreted. So there's like legal standing on map changes as well. So it's just, I'm just trying to be cautious about like, what do you mean by that, Rob, when you say that, So that's where my hesitancy comes on, but it was in a quick conversation as he was heading to his car, and he didn't have the capacity to be able to get back to talk more about that.
Far be it for me as you guys are in deliberation, but since I've got the podium here, I'll just share that, at some point you just have to take a stand. This is our zoning map. This is not the city's zoning map. And, we have an agreement respectfully, and we do need to have cooperative effort. But at some point, it's not the end of the world. We can always fix it. If there's an error there or anywhere, we can say we made a mistake and we can fix it. But at the end of the day, this is our zoning map, not that of the city.
I'll just make a comment. I feel very strongly that it is a 425 property. It's very clear in my mind. So I am disappointed that when we met with Seth, as you know, and he listened to all of this, that he didn't take that back and give us direction. And I can take some of the responsibility for that, I guess. I did pursue that, and apparently he did not talk with Rob, and he did not make an opinion. So
Yeah.
I was disappointed for sure.
I think at this point, whether it's red and yellow right now or purple, that property is still in question. It's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. whether it's purple, we know there's a question mark, we should go to the lawyers with their interpretation, with the motion. If it stays red and yellow, we also need to go to the lawyers for an interpretation. So I guess,
I can just add to that, the clear intention when that was negotiated was to extend the expiration date of that, pure and simple. There's no other discussion about the State Farm property of the original agreement except to make it last longer because it had taken so long to develop.
and if we revert back to the purple that's shown on the previous map, we could also, once we get the lawyer's interpretation, if it does could favor the township to be split zone, red and yellow, we could then update the map at that particular point in time. Or go to red and yellow this evening, get their interpretation, change it to purple down the road. So to me, it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. And, you know, PC knows it's in question, the board knows it's in question, and will be until we do get an answer.
I mean, could you approve, this is just a question, could you approve this map and literally just say like whatever the lawyers decide about that parcel, it's that color, you know, we approve the whole map. State Farm will just, whatever the lawyers say on that will be either purple or it will be red and yellow.
That's reasonable enough as far as I'm concerned.
Because I don't want to undermine the whole map that they have worked so diligently on.
I don't think anything else is in question.
Yeah.
Right now, it's just that.
And as Joanna said, there may be other parcels too, so, and we can always,
Who knows?
we always go back for the interpretation, so.
So to me, we could approve this map and say like pending the review on this, whatever the lawyers say, it'll be that color, and if it needs to be amended,
I would think it would have to come back to the board. It's another change.
but if we're saying we're admitting that, I'm asking, if we're admitting that that could be the one change, we're saying we're pre-approving whatever the lawyers say on that, unless you don't think so. I just am curious.
I don't,
I mean, we could say that, but I'm not so sure you want to.
Right.
I mean, you know, there's that old funny saying that give me 2 lawyers and I'll show you 6 opinions.
Okay.
But it's something that could always be changed later. Right. So I guess, in my opinion, we approve this and we get the opinion. If it needs to be changed, we can change it.
And hopefully we should get an answer prior to the master plan being completed, so.
Because there are other changes beyond just that State Farm. I mean, there's a lot that's been changed on here. So by approving it, it is approving all the other bits
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. So we have a motion.
Yeah, I made a motion, it was supported by Trustee Woods to concur with the recommendation of the Planning Commission and the subcommittee to approve the corrected zoning map.
Can we just add something in there, just like, and to get an opinion, something about adding an opinion about
Let's do that as a second motion.
as a separate motion? Okay.
We'll make a motion to
Yeah, well, we've got one on the
get this
floor.
one.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Are we ready for the vote then?
I am.
You're the boss. I'm first now, of course. Yes. Treasurer Kowalski,
no,
Trustee Woods,
Yes.
Trustee Wright,
I'm struggling with this one. I'm gonna say yes.
Supervisor Bossert.
Yes.
4 yes, 1 no.
I would like to make a motion at this time that we engage with the lawyers so they can determine the proper classification for the State Farm property. Whether it's an actual, they consider it a 425 property. You can fix the wording on this how you want, Jeff. Or,
This is getting lengthy.
don't put that phrase in there. Or keep it as the split zone
It's all recorded.
that we just approved. Exactly. Yeah.
I will second that.
Is there any discussion?
So under that authorization to word it, the motion would be to seek a legal clarification from the township attorney as to the status of the State Farm Public Act 425 property.
Sounds just like I
Right.
said. So,
Joanna is it okay to bring Joanna back into this?
Yes.
Okay.
guess we're in discussion.
We're making it work, James.
Is that something that you want me to do, as you want the planning commission to do that, or is someone from the board going to do that? That's my only question.
I'll take it on and pass it off to you.
No.
So do we want to state in here who is being authorized to do this? If so, who?
PC Chair Johnson said she would gladly accept that particular task.
So it'd be to authorize PC Chairperson Johnson to seek a legal clarification, blah, 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 blah. Okay.
Is there any other discussion? We're ready for a roll call vote.
Okay, Treasurer Kowalski. Yes. Trustee Woods.
Yes.
Trustee Wright.
Yes.
Supervisor Bossert.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, 5 yes.
All right. Did I miss anything else?
No, it's.
Okay, that's all right. Now, at this point, we have discussion update items, pending board vacancies.
The reason I asked for that is we all know that two of the more high-profile board positions have tendered their resignations. Proposed, one accepted for 31 March of this month and one proposed for 31 March this month. What I'm looking for, I think the board should consider, is the stability of the board for the township, having all the members available, and possible appointees down the road for continuity and stability. I think with the timelines for the impending resignations, for those that may be appointed to these positions, we are, I think, unfairly putting them into an election process come the fall. If we, the way things are, as I see things, I know there's a cutoff date, was it like mid-April, that if we go past that particular date without appointments, resignations or appointments, we would not be under that constraint for elections come the fall. I just think if we had the resignations and the appointees, we were forcing them by those actions of unnecessarily going into an election process. So that's just my thoughts.
Anybody else have anything?
Well, in all due respect, I would just like to, that I think continuity and stability are considerations, but I also have some faith, at least, in the voters, one way or the other. And the legislature has made that process and has set those deadlines and set that process for filling vacancies. It needs some work. It should recognize that there might be need for short-term interim arrangements so the checks can be issued and the necessary business can be done when there are vacancies. I think that's lacking in the statute, but I also think that when you have this much of a term left, and there's a general election process coming up, that I think that the voters should have that opportunity. Whether they'll take advantage by filing petitions and becoming candidates, and how many people run for it, that's just part of the process that has to play out. But at least it's a process that's more in line with a small d democratic process. So I'm not, just as one, I'll still be a citizen of this township after March 31st and concerned with township government. But I think that whoever's appointed, for instance, to take my place, if they have to stand in the election, I think that they'll have sufficient time to qualify to get their name on the ballot. If anyone else is interested, which didn't appear, at least at this time, to be interested in it, but if there are, they'll be up there, and the person that the board appoints would have a leg up because they'll have at least some experience with it. So I just think the process should play out, and regardless.
I'll piggyback off of that slightly in the same vein of, it's there for a reason, to have that process for voters to choose. I mean, voters got us here. And at the end of the day, the question is, do we trust our voters? Personally, I trust the people of Marshall Township. I think in terms of your ideas of stability, I completely agree with you. I think to have multiple vacancies all at one time, I think would be irresponsible. Specifically because there are certain board actions that cannot be done without at least 4 members being present. So I think we handle one vacancy at a time would, I think, be a responsible thing so that the board can do all of its actions at all times. And we do them in which they come. I think in terms of your questions, there is a tight turnaround a bit, in the sense of if a position becomes vacant at the end of this meeting, we may need to have it may be something that we may need to consider having another meeting if we want to appoint someone so that they can get their election stuff before our next board meeting, which would, so to give them enough time to get their signatures, to get their name on the ballot. So I think there's ways of being responsible by not having 3 vacancies, which then we don't have enough a quorum, or so I think we can limit the number of vacancies at a time, and we have accepted Jeff's, but we can talk to Dave and see if he's open to waiting longer than the date that he proposed. But I think that could be something we can discuss with Dave before we accept that. So I don't know if others have thoughts.
So I think some of the issues we've run into, I think, in the last 2 meetings, is the resignations were made during the board comments, and so I don't know whether we could or couldn't take action at that time. I don't know what the rules are, but it was at the end of the meeting after we had completed any business. So what does that mean? Well, that means that it affected, I think, the decision-making of that meeting. You know, to have the supervisor resign at the end of the meeting where we were making a motion on the clerk was difficult, right? Different decisions could have been made. And so what I see is I see a cascading here that is concerning to me. It has nothing to do with voting. I think right now, the way it stands, the clerk position will go to the voters, period, because it's March 31st. And so that's not an issue, and I have no problem. You know, what I do have a problem with is a considerable cascading of open positions without having the time to go look for filling those positions, which is the situation that we're tending to find ourselves in right now. So that's my biggest concern.
I was just looking at it, not from the voters' perspective, you know, I trust that process. You know, it's like Wayne said, that's how each of us got here. I was just thinking more like in the vein of, is this something that a board action could accomplish without throwing it to the voters? And, you know, if I was an appointee, just learning the job 2 or 3 months in, month 4, even before that, you have to file to run. And with the minimum possibility that, okay, come August, I could possibly not be in the job that I've been basically training in for the past 2 to 3 months, if somebody else was to file to run for that particular position. Yeah, just trying to respect whoever the appointee might be. So,
But I think at the end of the day, like, you're giving them the chance to, you know, like, one, I mean, for anyone else to be on the ballot, they would have to file the same time that anyone else would, you know, so that would be before April 20th, I think it is. But, you know, the 13th is the deadline for a vacancy to be able to give enough time for someone to get all their paperwork in. So that would mean that someone else interested would also have to run. So you'd know pretty quickly whether someone was running against you. The other option is if someone went and did a write-in, which is a lot harder to win a write-in if there's someone else on that ballot. I guess my only concern is if we have a vacancy like my own, or if you know, pending what happens here tonight, you know, making sure that we have someone to have enough time to get through the due work process, you know, which would be, I would say we'd need to have a special meeting to give enough time for someone to do it. But my bigger concern is we made an oath to the residents that this township functions and is open and it functions smoothly and, like you said, responsibly. And part of that functioning responsibly, to me, is making sure that payroll is happening for the firefighters that work, for our inspectors, for our office managers, for our assessors, for all those individuals that rely on that. And I think it's also just a good stewardship of the taxpayer dollars to make sure we're paying our bills on time. So the problem is if we don't have, especially someone like in the clerk role, if we decide like, oh, we're gonna let there be a vacancy longer than that, we start not paying those things and we can't, we put those things at risk. And it gives whoever is going to fill those positions less time to be able to actually get acquainted, because there's a lot of things, and Jeff can probably talk to this more, that are going to happen. You know, like we have we just approved the budget. All the salary changes happen within that month of April before the next thing. So there's a lot of things that have to, clerical wise, have to change within that month of April to make sure that the May payroll actually reflects the changes that we just approved in our budget. So it just, those are the things that concern me is it's like, yeah, if we let this lapse and have time, we don't give, we potentially make payroll, they have to figure out last month's payroll and this next month's payroll, which is even more complicated. And that just, I think, overcomplicates that aspect of it. So that's my 2 cents.
Is there anything else?
Appreciate the discussion.
Right. We have a motion to approve the following agenda items. If you want to take something else separately, now's the time to do that.
So, appointment of township clerk effective 4/1. How has that become old unfinished business?
Because the board accepted the resignation at the last meeting,
Right,
and that's just part of the overall process.
Appointment.
so I'd like that pulled out. The resolution to adopt the fire protection services millage, I'd like to pull that out. Acceptance of the supervisor Bozzard's resignation, I'd like to pull that out. And number 8, the authorizing removal of dilapidated and unused outbuilding, I'd like to pull that out as well. Dave, did you add a zoning administrator?
Yeah, number 6 of the unfinished business.
So I'd like to pull that one out as well.
Okay.
So this would, the motion would be for the minutes, approval of the minutes, the appointment, if there is a recommended one, to the zoning board of appeals. So that probably should be pulled out as well. Approval of the minutes, the approval of the checks issued list, and the approval of budget amendment 2 of the current year budget is what it would be for. Items 1, what's currently numbered 6, the checks and the budget amendment. I'll make a motion to approve those 3 items.
I'll second it.
Do we have any discussion on we have the minutes of the 2/9/26 board budget workshop and the 2/17/26 regular board meeting? Those are attached. We have the checks issued in the amount of $53,549.45, and that's attached. In the 2025 budget amendment number 2.
So I did have, we open for discussion?
Yes.
Did have a question. I know we made 2 pretty significant payments to the snow removal company that damaged our fire station. I don't see fire marshal, our fire chief here.
Yeah, the call.
Yeah, so, but I guess, I'm not sure where we stand, but I think Jay had gone to the company and he said he would not make an insurance claim, he would make the payment directly for the door replacement. And I don't know if so that bill has been paid. I don't know if we expect another bill for March, but I guess my concern is if he doesn't pay for the door, then we have no recourse. If we have a bill ahead of us and he doesn't pay, we can decide if we want to extract that cost of the door from his invoice.
What we paid for on that is up to February 3rd services.
Right.
So there's all the month of February plus,
Right, I can't remember if we had a lot of snow.
I think we did in February. Yeah.
So, yeah, so that can be ahead of us, but
Yep.
we do make fairly large payments to that company. Hopefully he'll, I'll follow up with Jay and just see if he's paid the payment yet.
Is there any other discussion? Okay. Do a roll call vote.
Okay. Trustee Woods,
Yes.
trustee Wright,
Yes.
supervisor Bozzard.
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Treasurer Kowalski,
Yes.
5 yes.
All right, we'll move on to number 2, and I have not found anybody for that position yet. It's difficult sometimes to find people to do certain things, so. So we'll move on to number 3. Appointment of the township clerk effective 4/1/26.
So, just at this point of discussion, I don't see that the world would end if we didn't appoint a clerk this evening. In theory, all the payroll, there's no reason why it couldn't be made by the end of the month. We'd be talking about 20 days in April before we came back. I see no reason why, those can't be handled. But at the same time, I can understand the concern. My concern is that we're creating another opening if we appoint trustee Wright. We're creating another opening that then we have to scramble to try and fill, or that person has to scramble to try and get on the ballot. I suppose maybe the worst case scenario is nobody's on the ballot, right? So to me, it seems borderline irresponsible to put people in that position that, we've got to go find somebody just to have somebody on the ballot. Again, I'm disappointed in how this is all rolled out, but I don't see the urgency in the same way, I guess, others do.
Yep.
Now, and I want to preface this by saying I've been advised by the township attorney that I can participate in discussion, but I just can't vote on designating a successor. I just want to remind the board that I submitted the resignation at the beginning of the January meeting. And so the board's known of the impending vacancy. I agreed to an extension for 30 days. So I think there's been ample time. I'm not surprised that there hasn't been an outpouring of volunteers to apply for the position. That is not something that's unique to this vacancy. In our jurisdiction, there are a number of clerk positions throughout the state that are vacant, and I suggest that as elections become more contentious and more, I told you that I'd be nice, so I'm going to be that as elections become more difficult because there are a lot of self-appointed experts on election administration out there, that as that occurs, there are going to be more vacancies in the clerk. And I think that if you have a qualified person that's willing to do it, if there are other ramifications that's fine, but I would submit that you have a trustee who is willing and capable, and I think personally, if I were able to vote, I know that I would vote to support him. I think he would do a fine job, and I think if you have someone, this is not a front office desk job that you seek applications and interviews and all that for. This is a public office or a political job, and the ultimate analysis that the board's entrusted in making an appointment to because of the vacancy. And I think that that the board should, I would hope that the board would take him up on that. And I do have concerns about rushing a payroll or anything else to buy a few more weeks for what? And I would hope that the board would make an appointment, and I know that there were two applicants for it, but one is not qualified because she is not a registered elector of our township, and that is a requirement for that for any of our jobs. And I believe that the resulting vacancy of trustee it'll be easier. I don't want to say it's an easier job, but I want to say that it'll be easier to find someone that would be willing to be a trustee.
I think also like
That's just my say.
the start date of it wouldn't be until, so it's not like a vote tonight doesn't start the clock at this moment because a vacancy wouldn't open until the 1st of April.
Right.
So, it's not that, the clock starts tonight. The clock wouldn't start until the vacancy opens up. Yeah, I mean, I've said my piece about it. I think at the end of the day, it's, none of these positions are easy, but at the end of the day, like it's the electors as a whole. It's not the individual board members or how easy it is to have this job, and I get that it's, I hope we've all been having conversations with people in our area to be like, hey, are you interested? Especially, as Jeff said, when we approved it last time, I did throw my hat in the ring saying I'm interested in it. It wasn't a surprise that tonight that I had applied officially in that as well. So, I'm excited to do it. I think that's good. I think the nice thing is I have, Jeff's willing to help me while he's around, and until he's on vacation. I know Christina said she's willing to help too in some of those things, but I know farming's gonna start taking off too, and she's gonna have some needs at the farm. And so I just want to make sure that it's as smooth as possible so that people don't feel that disruption in services from our township. So that's just where my 2 cents on that.
So I would move for your appointment to be township clerk.
I'll second.
I think you do a tremendous job. You've done a tremendous job as a trustee here, so.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think Wayne, with the help of his significant other, would do a great job. Just to clarify, we did get the official, I guess, document at the end of the January meeting for the clerk, and at the end of the February meeting for the supervisor, just to clarify. So that did put us in a bind a bit, and I think we had a lot of discussion in the February meeting. Unfortunately, we didn't know the supervisor was planning to resign, so I think there was a compromise in that meeting. Personally, I wouldn't have voted to approve the clerk resignation had I known the supervisor was resigning. It would have changed my vote. But that's all I have.
Are we ready for a roll call vote?
So the motion by Bozzard, supported by Woods, appoint trustee Wainwright as clerk effective April 1, 26. Trustee Wright, as it turns out, you're first.
Yes?
Supervisor Bozzard,
Yes.
pursuant to state law, I will not vote. Treasurer Kowalski,
No.
trustee Woods,
Yes.
3 yes. Motion carries.
All right, move on to resolution to adopt the fire protection services millage ballot. The language is included. There.
Yeah. So, motion to approve the resolution to adopt the fire millage service, millage ballot language as attached. So, we contacted, I contacted Seth, and Seth got back to, myself and Jeff to ask for what the previous language and stuff was, and then he looked at it to make sure it was in compliance with, to make sure that it would be a renewal and updating it with any new language here. So that's what he has proposed with that.
Did you?
Sorry, I forgot someone seconded.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there any discussion?
I just want to note that when attorney did send it, the amount of the estimated levy in its first year was blank. I consulted with the assessor, and based upon, since this would be based on the 2027 taxable value, which we're just finalizing 2026's, we added 3%, which has kind of been the average of the state cost of living factor that's applied to taxable values, and it is an estimate. That's how that estimate results. This year's times 3%.
I'd also like to put forth that line 3 of the millage renewal, the word mills, and also line 5 is misspelled. It's only one L. Just looked it up.
I question that too, but that's not apparently the legal term for milli is the
Spells.
double L.
Wow,
I've never seen it like that, so
I learned something new.
I just Googled it, man. It didn't come up with 2 L's. Okay, whatever the approved language goes.
Is there any other discussion? Guess we're ready for a roll call vote.
Supervisor Bozzard,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Treasurer Kowalski,
Yes.
trustee Woods,
Yes.
trustee Wright,
Yes.
5 yes.
All right, we'll move on to number 5, accept the Supervisor Buzzard's resignation as supervisor effective 3/31/26. Ready discussion?
Well, for a motion for discussion, I'll move that we accept the resignation as submitted.
And I'll second it for discussion purposes.
Okay, we've opened it up for discussion.
So my biggest concern is, we had talked about earlier in the earlier discussion points that Mick had said, is I worry about having too many vacancies at the same time with, without having board can and can't do. So like, there's certain times when the board needs to have a supermajority, which would mean that we need to have 4 members to be able to vote to go in certain things. For example, if we needed to go into a closed session, we need a vote for 4 members to vote to go into closed session. So my only concern is, if let's say we had an important legal opinion, because we do have some cases out there, or something where we had to, my worry would be, we wouldn't have that ability if we have 2 vacancies at the same time. So my, I guess, question to Dave is, are you open to negotiate on that, or are you willing to look at a different date, would be a question.
I guess I kind of chose that day because I was looking at the future here, so I would like to stick with that date, so.
Could I just add, I believe that some items of business do require a super majority, I guess I'll call it that, of the members. I believe the wording is usually something like of the members elected and serving. So if you only have 3 members of the board, because there are 2 vacancies, then the super majority would be determined based on 3, not on 5.
The majority of the members present.
And some of the other stuff is majority of the members present.
But I know the one is because that was the October issue.
Yeah, and that's because it was the super majority. It doesn't say 4. It says X, 2/3 vote of the members elected and serving. So they may have been elected, but they aren't serving anymore because there's a vacancy. But just food for thought, that could be done. So that'd be 2/3 of 3, which would be 2.
I'll just make the same comment I made before. I think, the short time between now and the end of the month is too short to go find a supervisor. So and the board's not required to accept the resignation. Resignation isn't in effect until the board approves it.
And there is still a clock with that too, right, Glenn? Like, I mean, so if we accepted this one as well, we'd be looking at the same time for multiple positions at the same time, which is also harder.
Right.
But not that we haven't started asking people, it's just, I want to make sure we have enough time to be able to.
Trying to figure out how to word this. So not going too deep into, I respect your decision, but not going too deep in the timeline. What, if you can tell us, what would be the ramifications to you and your reasonings if you were to extend your resignation out maybe just 1 month? If I might ask that.
Well, I mean, I guess I could do it. I don't really want to, but.
so many thoughts going through my head. I hear it too. I mean, there's also a difference between, I don't, this sounds terrible, but it's showing up and resigning, if that makes sense too. So, like if there's extreme conflicts, I understand that, but I think it's the clicking of the time is the hardest bit. And so I just want to be clear, it's not, not that we don't, but, what we vote, like, I don't want it to be like, oh, we don't, it's simply because my biggest concern is trying to fill too many vacancies all at the same time. I think we need to take them one at a time, but I understand, like, I hear you, Dave. And, yeah.
All right, well, I think everybody's had something to say. So I guess we'll do a roll call vote.
I will vote yes. Treasurer Kowalski,
No.
Trustee Woods,
I'll say no.
I'm sorry,
No.
Trustee Wright,
No.
Supervisor Bazey.
Yes.
2 yes, 3 no.
All right. We'll go on to number 6. That's the zoning administrator position. We have the committee, we had somebody that we really like. That person works in other jobs, we've been kind of keeping on low. And I talked to them and, because we have 50,000 budgeted in our thing for that. Well, that's not going to cover what she's going to want based on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 8:30 to 3:30, and then Thursday, 5 to 9. But there's some questions that she had, like inspections. I would say that the 58,000 would cover the inspections, that she had to make inspections. And then as far as mileage, I didn't know, do we have any things for mileage for people, or is that something that, I guess I get that question to Jeff here, as
Yeah,
we've done in the past.
We pay mileage for when there's travel on official township business, we pay the IRS
Okay.
business rate.
I mean, I think this person would be really good, and they really would like to work with their township. Just, I can't, I have to be constrained with the budget, and so I'm bringing that up to the board.
Can you just say again, like what we're suggesting, what you're proposing, or what would?
Well, I mean, this is what they were kind of, I was asking, I told them what I had to work with.
Yeah.
And, and they went through their reasoning, and they thought 58,000 was what would work for them. And then the other thing is holidays, like right now, if a holiday's on Monday, Carl doesn't have to work, but she wanted to know whether she would have to make those hours up later in the week on holidays.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't, that wouldn't be a holiday then, right?
Right.
So to me, I'm like, a holiday is a
Well, I'm
holiday.
just
Yeah, I know.
bringing her things.
Yeah, her concerns.
Right.
So I think, I don't know, I don't want to speak for the rest of the board, but I would say that a holiday is a holiday, and they get those off. But I mean, I look at it as they have a stack of work to do, and, it's about getting to that stack,
Well, and I don't think this person is going to let that slow her down. If she's got stuff she needs to do, she's going to do it.
Right. And then the mileage, yep,
So Dave, are they looking for a full-time position or are
They're
hours flexible or, you know, if the number of hours or days were
I think-
changed to fit within our budget, is that something they're interested in or are they only interested in the 4 days?
Well, that's what we offered, so I guess I didn't really, the only other thing they said is they might be willing to work hourly.
But is there like a minimum time or?
I guess I didn't ask that question as the minimum hours, but I can ask that question.
What was the budget, or I'm drawing a blank, what was the original kind of budget?
We had budgeted 50,000.
About 50,000, so this would be about 8,000 more.
Well, and then you have about 10% above that for like
Yep.
the payroll taxes and then you have, I don't know if she'd participate in the 3% that,
So in reviewing that, just to clarify that a little bit, in reviewing the budget, what we did is we added $50,000 for the zoning administrator, but that also contained what was already in the budget
okay,
for zoning for the contract, the way we're doing it now. Which, well, let me look on the budget here, I'll tell you.
I was trying to understand it all.
Yeah.
So Dave, did you make a motion or what
I
are
did
we,
not make
what
a
are we
motion.
exactly?
I'm just
doing?
bringing information to the board.
Would that be more under discussion then or?
Well,
This is
discussing it
business,
because
right?
it was old unfinished business because we talked about it at the last meeting.
We have actually two items. We have 10,000, in the current budget, we have $10,000 for enforcement and $10,000 for zoning administrator. And so that 20,000 is still in the budget we just adopted, plus 50,000.
Okay,
So that would fit probably
We
within,
wouldn't need a budget adjustment. And on the salary, we put to be determined, as the ad had, that it was subject to negotiation, so.
okay.
Yeah, because I think the budget is, just looked at the number, it's 100 and,
In our contract with SCCMI, we're at a point where we can terminate that at any point, aren't we?
There's a notice requirement of some
Okay, I
sort.
don't know, yeah, I don't know what the notice requirement is.
so the budget goes from, for planning and zoning as a total goes from 68,600 to 103,290. As adopted.
would we want, when we go to make this motion, to, let's say if we, to this approved, do we put a date with this as well? And then, is there a benefit to having some overlap with SEMCCI so that there's like a transfer of knowledge between the previous, you know, Shelley or, you
That will
know,
not be a problem.
what?
That won't be a problem.
Okay,
You want to say something?
okay.
Good thought, though.
Johnson, Marshall Township. Just a couple clarifying points. When the Planning Commission provided that proposal to the board, I apologize when that was, it was based on 28.25 hours. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't have those notes in front of me, but I believe SCMCCI has to be given proper notice. I want to say, I think it's 30 days. Don't quote me on that, something 30 or 60 days. So we would still have to ensure that we're giving the proper notice to SCMCCI.
Okay. Thank you, Joanna.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if you guys want to talk about it anymore, about this or.
Do we think we make a motion to, here, I'm gonna do something here. No?
We're still discussing, well,
Oh,
hold
but
that
we-
thought.
But if we put a motion out on the table, then we can still discuss it and we can change that motion,
Discussion.
right?
Yeah.
So, so let's say we accept, the zoning administrator for $58,000 salary, per year, including holidays and including mileage um, for township business, and to make an offer to that individual.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved in second. Now I'll open it up for more discussion. Is there any more discussion?
Does that cover where you are at with the negotiation at this point?
Yeah, I mean, you've given me, I mean, as far as inspections, I just wanted to make sure how everybody felt about that, that's just part of the 58,000 inspections. And then mileage is township business, and that's based on the IRS mileage. Is that your feeling too on the inspections?
Yeah, that's all part of the job description, including enforcement. I will share that I think no matter what the board does this evening, I would assume that if this is a contracted service, you're going to come back to the board, with with a contract ultimately too, to potentially weigh in on, so.
Yeah, I have to be approved by the board.
Yeah.
Right.
Dave, can you talk more about what your discussion was on an hourly basis?
I mean, it was basically the hourly basis was the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 8:30 to 3:30, and Thursday, 9 to 5 p.m.
Right.
That she's going to be here, and then she's, I don't know if
I guess my question is, so what's the difference? It's a salary versus an hourly rate. Is there some reason why that surfaced, or?
she just brought that up.
I mean,
I think this is going to be a full-time job for her as far as that. So, I mean, she just brought that up, and I'm just trying to get through this, and because we need a zoning administrator. I mean, I've talked at length with Joanna and Dwayne. There's a lot of things that need to be done, and they've done a lot of the work that this person's going to do on their own. And I have to appreciate, all the things they've done. They've worked hard.
Yeah, we definitely need someone in-house to do the work. The reason I ask is again, I'm still trying to get a feeling if this is something that is predicated on she absolutely has to have 4 days, or longer term, if she would want to work less, or is this something that it's locked in stone?
Well, I think that this is,
Hourly rate, we had a zoning administrator that I think he was contracted a salary to work up to X number of hours, and then I think he got, my memory says $50 an hour after that period of time. And I think when I did the math, he worked about 70 hours a month. Again, that was a different time. We have a lot of work ahead of us that's probably we need to catch up. So we definitely need somebody in-house. We need somebody probably 4 days a week. I just didn't know what, I'm trying to get a feel for what they're looking for.
well, this is what we advertise. These are the hours and the days. And so I guess that's what we were going off of.
So, okay, so to her, it doesn't really matter if it's salary or if it's hourly.
No, and I mean, I think, and we talked about this at the last meeting, that after a year, I mean, we can have this as a year contract, and then we can decide if we need to modify or, you know, for what we do need to do. But I think we'll have a really good basis after a year of what's going on and to get through this, so. So we have a motion and a second, and this has to come back to the board.
Yeah.
So,
With a contract.
I mean, yeah, with the contract.
When's the earliest we think we could get a contract put together? 'Cause I'm looking at like, if, you know, since the board accepted my April 1st thing as well, we may want to have a special meeting or something in April, that those two items could be on a special meeting.
Joanna, if you want to get up and talk about that too. Because we have a contract kind of, she sent something to
Yep.
Seth.
So we took liberties to develop a contract that was based on the previous zoning administrator as well as looking at that of the office manager. And so there's provisions in there. Again, this is draft form that we sent to our legal counsel for review. But I'm just going to take a quick liberties just to share a couple things. Again, the hour, as Township Supervisor Bozzard mentioned, we advertised what we presented to the board. So the hours are a minimum of that 28.25 hours. The thought process, again, this is draft, right? The thought process is the zoning administrator may or may not be required at evening meetings. So, you know, that could either be part of the wages or you could pay a per diem like we have if they are needed. Those are just some things we, you know, kicked around. And then obviously there's the township simple individual retirement account, if I'm not saying, I think they've got that right. And then the hours, which were already suggested or was advertised as presented, the 8:45 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, and 9 to 5 on Thursdays with a 30-minute lunch. Again, this is just a repeat of what's in some of the provisions of the current positions. There is a slight difference in the issue of holidays. Again, this is just proposed, it's got to come back to the board. A lot of the holidays are on Mondays, and I get it that it's a holiday, but one of the things that we proposed is if there's a township observed legal holiday that falls on a scheduled workday, or if the township offices are closed on such a day for any reason by the supervisor or the board, then the individual would perform the required weekly hours on an alternate day within the same week, so that you're still getting the same hours and you're not just, you know, you're still catching the work that needs to be done on a holiday. So the sick leave is per the policy, the township's policy on that. And then the other thing is that the job performance, I know this was important to you all when we went with SCM, CCI. We're in the process of evaluating their performance as well. So the job performance would potentially be looked at 60 days. And then annual performance reviews would be conducted in the same month as the annual anniversary hire date. And the other issue of termination of contract, it reads the same way presently as the office managers. And again, this is up to the township, you know, supervisor, the individual, the attorney, and ultimately you all to approve. But these are just some conceptual things that we at least got it started. So to answer that question is we do have a draft in play. To my knowledge, it hasn't been reviewed with the individual applicant, and we're still waiting on township attorney feedback as well. But that just gives you an idea of what we were contemplating.
I did hear back from the township attorney, and he was okay with it, so. I didn't know, I thought you were on that email, but maybe not. So.
If it was today, I
No,
absolutely.
it wasn't, it was, I think, last week, so. Thank you.
When would you want this to start? Sorry, Joanna, I just had to go back to your seat. When would you want this to start?
We
Maybe
need
you
Dwayne to
could put
come
in
up
for
and explain.
mileage.
You
Vice
did.
Simpson. You know, with anybody who's working, I'm just going to put my side on the employer side, is you have to allow at least a minimum of 2 weeks, if not longer, because I would want the same if it was me from that employer standpoint. So I can't imagine that you're going to have somebody start, within at least, pending the date of negotiation, or if it's in board approval, frankly, right? So we're looking at next month, right, which is what, April. My guess is we're not going to have somebody in here before maybe June, to allow that time for notice.
Still have to check with what the CMCCI contract states as
Yeah,
far as notification.
I can do that. I have it here somewhere, but it's either 30 or 60 days too. Yeah, so we have to do them justice as well. That's the end.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? We'll move on to a roll call vote.
Treasurer Kowalski,
Yes.
Trustee Woods,
Yes,
Trustee Wright,
Yes,
Supervisor Bozzard.
Yes.
I'll vote yes, 5 yes, no nos, no nos.
Okay. Move on to number 8, authorizing removal of dilapidated unused outbuilding as proposed by J.R. Bruner at Hotchkiss Cemetery as proposed 2/24/26.
This is a I think we might have referred to it, I can't remember which meeting, maybe the workshop. I can't remember exactly. This is the crumbling building at the back of the cemetery that hasn't been used in many, many, many years. And I inquired with our cemetery. I don't know exactly what his title would be, but he's the guy that does the burial. Yes, I think he's the sexton of the cemetery. He does the burials when they occur and does any heavier work. And he gave me the quote, which was attached to the agenda, if we wanted him to remove the building and the footings in their entirety and to use the existing topsoil that's on site to backfill and would bring in topsoil and seed to finish. And he has offered that quote to do that work. And because of the amount, I bring it to the board rather than just treating it as a maintenance of type item.
I guess I'd like to make a motion that we table this till the April meeting, just so we have a chance to maybe go look at the building. But that would be my motion.
Been a motion to table this. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And I think part of my thought process is just getting our arms around the cemetery. Some of us, 3 of us are relatively new, and I've heard some of the folklore of problems with the cemetery burials, and but it appears to me I'd just like to get my arms around what we have out there, what information we have about the cemetery. I think I was told there was some ground penetrating radar work, and so I'm just trying to put this all in perspective and try to understand what we're doing with the cemetery as a whole.
I regretfully have not been out there to look at that building, so I agree, I probably should look at it just to make sure that that looks good. I would say also, putting topsoil and seed at this point is not gonna happen probably until April anyway, so what's the harm in tabling it 1 month is not something I see as a problem. But that's just my 2 cents.
I know exactly where the cemetery's at. And it's been a while since I've seen that stone building. Back in its day, it was probably really nice. And would it be possible to get an itemized list, cost list from him on this, Jeff?
Well, if somebody wants to do that, that's fine.
Or,
I don't have a problem with somebody else getting all that.
Are you interested in
well,
doing that?
you know, no, I would just,
No, I just want you, my only thing is to keep it on the board's radar, because at some point, if it's not already there, it's a danger to anybody walking near it.
Right, right.
And so it's to get it down, whether it's this month, next month, or in June.
Right.
I don't think makes much of a difference. In fact, by June, maybe it'll already be down.
With the wind, yeah.
Well, our luck, it'd still stand all this wind.
All right, are we ready for a roll call vote?
Sure. Trustee Woods, this is the motion to table.
yes.
Trustee Wright,
Yes.
Supervisor Bozzard,
I'm gonna say no.
I'm gonna vote yes, because I'll just leave it to somebody else. Treasurer Kowalski,
Yes.
All right. Is there any other matters that should be brought before the board?
I have 2 things I would like to think about. One is, because of my appointment, I think we should have a special meeting before, to be able to appoint someone in that, and maybe also if we could have that contract there, that we could at least keep moving on that, so it's moving, so that we're being proactive and we're not gonna lose the candidate over time on that. I just think shows good diligence on that, so.
Are you making a motion?
A motion to have an additional a special board meeting in April. And I would propose, if possible, let me look at my calendar real quick. April. On Monday, April 13th, I think it would be.
It's the second Monday.
The second Monday. I want to give enough time to be able to do those things, but also get enough time for us to be able to find some candidates for trustees.
What are the things you want to discuss?
For that
Reason for the
meeting,
motion, yeah.
for that meeting, we would be looking for an appointment to Township trustee. And then to approve zoning administrator is it contract?
7 PM?
7 PM.
All right,
Is there a second?
Yeah, there has to be. There's a motion by Wright, is there support? You know, you need to.
I'll support just for discussion, so.
all right, is there any discussion?
So Wayne, your thought is hopefully we can come up with a trustee that appointment, I'll say if it is on the 13th, gives them
Enough time.
time to get their name on the ballot.
Yes,
Okay.
that's my main purpose is I want to give them as much time to get on that ballot to get help them to be able to fill that out and that we can appoint someone.
I know word of mouth is always working, but should we advertise the position also?
That's up to, I mean, do you think it's effective and?
I mean, we got one applicant, and it was probably came from the Battle Creek shopper, I'm
I
guessing.
know.
Unfortunately, but, I mean,
I
have to
think,
get the word out there
Unless,
somehow. so-
unless we go just by word of mouth,
and put something on the
put
website?
something on the website
Yeah, for sure on the.
for that
website.
meeting, and then at that meeting, depending upon response,
Yeah.
we can,
If we could make the, because the application for the clerk position was quite lengthy. If we could make it be, I don't know, a little bit.
Trustee?
Well, trustee, but like, make it a little bit more concise, because I think the amount of paperwork that it was required to fill out for that could be daunting, and someone may just, when we already know they're gonna have to fill out a lot of paperwork for the election stuff. So that would just be a recommendation if we go in that direction.
So right now, but we're just voting on.
Yep, just for a special
Just
meeting.
for the special meeting.
Special
correct?
meeting,
All right, ready for a roll call vote?
Trustee Wright,
yes.
Supervisor Bossard,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Treasurer Kowalski,
Yes.
Trustee Woods,
yes,
5 yes.
Okay, we've done a roll call vote. We'll open it up to public comments.
Can I do one more real quick?
Okay.
Should we address the advertisement portion, because I don't know if it requires a motion, but I would make a motion that we post it on the website and possibly make at least one advertisement in the advisor.
You think you ought to advertise the supervisor position too, as long as you're advertising that? Or,
Might as well, I guess, right?
I think so.
Yes. I think we should. So is your motion to,
amend your
You
motion.
can amend it, yeah, so to post both the supervisor and the trustee openings on the website, as well as, I guess, at least one time in the advisor.
okay,
Unfortunately, the advisors decided that, they're gonna go by zip code, and so we miss a number of people on the west and northwest side of the township without going to the shopper. But the shopper gets
well, better.
a lot of area that might be confusing to people, but that's just a thought.
All right,
Need a second.
Up second. I'll second.
So it's to post on the website, the two positions, and place an ad in the advisor. And you want to designate someone to do that?
Is our office manager capable of doing it, or I guess he works for you, so.
well, you would need,
I think that should,
If it's a simple ad that it's just that, that we're seeking persons interested in the position of township supervisor and also township trustee, file your letter of interest with the township office by,
when do we want it by? Yeah, by the special meeting, April
Close of business Friday.
of
The
prior
Prior,
week, which would be,
yeah.
which is
Tenth?
the 10th.
11,
Yep.
10.
10th.
Well, close of business, we aren't open, so.
Yeah, I know, we'll get it.
Well,
We'll-
it'll be in the mail
By
Yeah,
5 p.m.
By 5.
or by 1500, Monday, 13 April.
yeah.
It's been moved and seconded. Do a roll call vote?
Supervisor Bossard,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Treasurer Kowalski,
Yes.
trustee Woods,
Yes,
trustee Wright,
Yes.
5 yes.
Last thing, Jeff, does the additional duties, do you think that that should be something we do today?
It's something you need to do it by the April meeting, I would think.
So
I mean, you can tend to those.
okay. Yeah, okay.
I mean, there's the non-statutory duties that were, that I was authorized to do, that Wayne needs to be authorized to do, or someone.
Right. And so the question is, do we want to just do a quick vote to authorize me to do those right now, or do you want to push that to a later?
Probably would be better if you did it, at least temporarily approve that,
Okay,
and then.
so that I
the
can
board-
do it in the interim until,
The board may want to review them and determine whether they still want.
okay, so then I will make a motion. Yep, go ahead.
No, go ahead, you can make the motion.
I will make a motion to temporarily, that Wayne Wright, Township Clerk, as of April 1st, agrees to perform the following duties, which are not required by law to be performed by the clerk, and shall be paid $800 per month for the performance of such duties. 1, Freedom of Information Act Coordinator, see statute for duties. 2, Budget Officer, assist the supervisor with preparation of the annual budget and administration, the adoption of the budget. 3, Streetlight Administrator, provides the administrative support for streetlight districts. 4, the Cemetery Administrator, see statutes for duties. 4, the ARPA Coordinator, assures that the township's compliance with federal ARPA funding requirements. 5, the legislative liaison, conveys township government's positions on legislative matters to area legislators and keeps the board members and staff advised on such matters. 6, Parks Coordinator, coordinate activities related to the county park millage as they may affect the township, and act as a liaison with the township attorney and serve as the board's representative for litigative matters involving the township. Any non-statutory duties and assignments beyond these will be compensated as approved by the General Appropriations Act. The foregoing is the addition to the clerk's statutory compensation. So this was something that Jeff has been doing, and at least for a temporary, it would probably be in the best interest to make sure that those services continue, especially like FOIA and such. That's a big resolution.
I will support that.
When you review it, there's an item like the ARPA funding is done and closed. Well, we're awaiting the federal government. We had to hurry up and submit a new form that they invented. And then they're taking their sweet time saying, okay, that we accept it. So, there's that. The legislative liaison, the board hasn't taken any actions of late with regard to legislation. There are things that it should be reviewed.
Okay.
Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing any, go to roll call vote.
I'll vote yes. Treasurer Kowalski,
No.
trustee Woods,
yes,
trustee Wright,
Yes?
supervisor Bossard.
Yes.
4 yes, 1 no.
Okay. We're done with any other items? Public comments? Any public comments?
I'd just like to thank Clerk Albaugh for his service to the township and give him my appreciation for all he's done. And that I appreciate all the help he's given me and everything that he's done for this township. And happy retirement. It's the best job you'll ever have.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Matt Saxton, 6th District County Commissioner. I don't want to make this evening go any longer than it needs to, so I'll be very brief, but I did want to come tonight and congratulate Clerk Albaugh on his retirement. I've had the opportunity to work with him since 1994 when I started at the sheriff's office and continued to work with him as my time as sheriff and as a township official as well. And he's been great to work with. And also I would say the same about Supervisor Bozzard, who will be leaving, whether you approved his resignation or not, but at some point. Want to thank him for his service, and he was always great to work with. Probably started working with you early 2000s as my time as captain and and the township started here, and I've enjoyed working with both of you. And then lastly, Trustee Wright, thank you for stepping up and taking that call of the township to be the township clerk. It's even a more thankless job than a trustee of a township. So, but thank you for doing that. And then briefly, Supervisor Bozzard, I know you weren't able to make the road department township supervisor meeting, but I attended that because I wanted to hear what the road department was telling the township supervisors. And I do know that all the supervisors were sent out the approvals of the 49 local road projects that are being done, which is the highest number of local road projects the road department has done. 16 of the 19 townships have projects in 2026. Some of those are not considered a local road project, but they're working on local roads with Newton's millage and different, Lee Township has some stuff going on. And also, in addition to your 5 local road projects, this section of 15 Mile out here will be completed here once winter goes away, if it ever does. I was out of winter for the last week down in Florida, but so the road department has those 49 projects, but you were sent an email with the list of projects, but it also had a very good breakdown of the new road funding from the state, the new dollars, the neighborhood road fund, as well as the Act 51 dollars, the additional dollars that will be coming in. It's really a good breakdown on that. That would be great if that is put up on the website here at the township. I know it's made available for that. And that email also has a list of all the township projects and when pothole patching is going to start, when they're going to start the roadside mowing, deberming, and all those projects that are starting this spring. I believe the frost laws went off today, so they will be getting out to start work on the gravel roads as well. So, but again, thank you to both of you for your many, I think it's got to be 70+ years between the two of you, right? Close to that. You have 60 alone, Jeff, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Matt for those words and also thank him for his work at the county level and getting our projects approved too.
Yep. Enough for board member comments?
I'll just say two things. Thank you, Jeff, and also thank you, Dave, again, for what you've done in the township. I echo what everyone else has said. You guys have been a wealth of wisdom in helping, especially a lot of us new people on this board, of figuring things out. And so that's been invaluable, and your willingness to sit down and explain things to us when we were new, and you didn't have to do that, but you chose to do that, and I appreciate that and the conversations we've had. I also just want to mention that our website got an ADA rating or whatever and did very well. It got a really high score, and I thought, we should celebrate that as well. It had a potential of 100% compliance. It was at 99.9, which is, something to be thankful for. We know there can be improvements on it, but that's something to at least know that we are being compliant that way.
Yeah, I would just like to also say thanks to Jeff. It was a big help when I came in as treasurer because he had done it for so long. It was like second nature to you, and it really helped me get off the ground in those few weeks after the election or after our oath of office and when we had to get the mailings out. So I appreciate that and all the other help, and I think we worked well together, and I appreciate that. And Dave, you'll be hanging around a little bit longer, but I appreciate everything you've done over the years, and yeah, wish you well. I did just the email that we're referring to. Is that something that I missed, or did that get distributed to the board on the road department projects?
I
I don't know who it came to, but
I thought it did.
I thought it did, but
didn't-
I'll double check.
didn't-
I made a note to double check.
I didn't think it, because I did see it on the county webpage.
Maybe that's where I was.
On that meeting that Commissioner Saxton was speaking of. And just one last comment, I didn't mention this earlier, but I have been working with the city treasurer on our 425 agreement payments. You'll recall that in 2024, the township mistakenly taxed some of the Maida property that had been transferred to the city. And in the July board of review, they corrected that portion, but did not uncap some of the properties. So that was corrected in the December board of review. And so William Dopp, the city treasurer, and I are sitting down with a comprehensive list of the 2024 payments, as well as the 2025 payments. There were some overpayments apparently made in 2025, but it looks like they'll offset and they'll still owe us a small amount of money. But
I'd like to echo my appreciation once again, Jeff, for your service and expertise to the township over these last few years. Many years. Job well done. Thank you for everything you've done to assist each one of us in this board and representing the township. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well,
And good luck in your retirement.
Yeah.
I guess I gotta say that Jeff was here when I started, and he's kept me right on the meetings and making sure we've done things right, and that's pretty important. And he's been a wealth of information, and I just remember when I got on the board that Jeff always said what I'd like to say before, and I never thought there was a reason to say it again, so I always appreciated his insight into things, so. But if there's no other comments, we'll adjourn this meeting.
Okay. Wayne, I'll go get the oath. The attorney says we can administer the oath to you.